Good day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today and welcome to the Today session. Today, I'm going to briefly talk about a couple of interesting points and interesting takeaways of a wonderful book called Man's Search for Meaning. In initial my videos, I did mention about the book, but then I really wanted to go through those points which really can strike your life during these times. And this book was written by Viktor Frankl during it's an experiences what he had during the camp during the Second World War. The first time, I mean, he was not writing a book. He was just keeping the scraps, how what are the experiences he went through, and then eventually it came out back first time in 1946. And what it tells you is unbelievable, and then how these experiences can make you strong during the tough times in your life and whichever the phase you are in, and what can drive a person to have a hope and to see the bright light and during the dark hours of your life, whatever it could be in many ways. And then it really serves a wonderful purpose if you go through wonderful books like this. You see that the book was released in 1946. uh, you know, until about last 5 years ago, I didn't read that book. That means, there are so much of information available, and then you can go through and see only when when you are ready to hear the message, basically. And those are the very good lessons what someone had gone through and those experiences, and then what made him to stay awake to see his purpose in life, and what is the most driving force behind how he survived is the experience is all about. Without a further ado, I would like to just go through those points which probably might strike you as well, to inspire you to read that book. Most important thing is that there are a lot of things that you can pick up while reading the complete book. I mean, it can be different to a different person, how it can strike you, and what that one message can lift you up to do better in what you do. He who has a why to live for can bear it almost anyhow. So that's a powerful quotation which we always see. So basically what he mentioned is the prisoners who lost their way and quickly lost their life within a matter of days, for those who lost their why they have to live, why they have to survive. By having a greater sense of purpose, one can overcome anything. The greatest task for any person is to find meaning in his or her own life. I mean, he comes with the Lego therapy and what are the things that you can be basically, focus on living your purpose, doing something significant by creating your work or doing some good deeds and so on and so forth, or by experiencing something or encountering something in love, caring for another person. And we give our suffering meaning by the way we respond to it. We give our suffering a meaning by the way how we respond to it. Even the helpless victim of a hopeless situation, facing a fate he cannot change, may rise above himself, may grow beyond himself, and by so doing, changing himself. So it's all about changing your attitudes. Accept your suffering as a task. No one can relieve him of his suffering or suffer in his place. This is true to each and everything. You have to experience either good or bad things, and no one can suffer in your place. You have to experience those things. Everybody's unique opportunity lies in the way in which he bears his burden. Franklin was able to survive in concentration camp by thinking of his wife, who was also in another concentration camp, by picturing her and having conversations within his mind. It gave him a hope that he would see her one day when the war is over. It was during the Second World War. He didn't know if she was alive and had no ways of communicating with her. So he didn't know that she was alive because she was put in a different camp. And all this he was doing is that communicating with her in his mind as if he is talking to. People might think that this is a madness basically, but and this is how he was talking to her. And then later experiences, he said, even if she was dead, I was feeling that she was really in touch with me, and that's how I kept myself alive. So one of the reasons he had a reason to why to see her, and then he has a visions of that, having her and himself, going back and then spending the family time once the war is over. So he had a visions of it. So that's how your present situation is not your current reality. You can always dream big. Love goes very far beyond the physical person of the beloved. It finds its deepest meanings in his spiritual being, his inner self. Whether or not he is actually present, whether or not he is still alive at all, ceases somehow to be of very importance. Love is the ultimate and the highest goal of which a man can aspire of. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing that cannot be taken away is it's one's own attitude at any given circumstances, and to choose on your own. You have the capabilities of deciding how you can react to each and every situation of your life, whatever the situation you are in. That is something that no one can take it away from you, because that's in your control, that's your mind, and that's how you need to act. So that one's own attitude is what all determines how your life is now and how your life is going to unfold in coming days in the future. You cannot control what happens to you in life, but you can always control what you will feel and do about what happens to you now. There are some of these quotations probably may confuse you. But however, if you read that complete book and then entire situations, what he was referring to, and then it makes sense. The mental health is based on certain degree of tension. The tension between what one has already achieved and what one still ought to accomplish, or the gap between what one is and what one should become. So that's where the mental tension is coming. He was referring to. Once you know your why, you can set your goals to get to your ultimate vision and mission in your life. The salvation of man is through love and in love. You can resist the influence of even the most toxic environments. Your actions are your own. No matter what the situation is, you control what you think, how you respond, and your own state of mind. Nobody except you has control on your mind. Human kindness can be found in the most surprising places. The world can be a tough place and people can be really mean, but don't judge a person by only a situation. Each of us has a positive side as well. Laughing and having a sense of humor will change the way you look at the life. Live as if you are living already for the second time. This is a most powerful thing, and it really, when you really reread and then you really focus on that, it says a lot of meaning. Live as if you are living already for a second time. Live as if you are already living for a second time, and as if you had acted the first time as wrongly as you're about to act now. So it's very important for you to understand. Live as if you are living already for a second time, and as if you had acted the first time as wrongly as you're about to act now. So you are given a second chance, but you're doing the same mistake what you did in the past, and you are about to do the same thing. And what are you going to do about it? It's very powerful, and if you apply that in your life, it all requires just to step back and think a little bit before you act and before you're committing second time the same mistake. And given the importance that you were given a second time, chance in your life. There was one wonderful quote also, which refers what Mark Twain said. The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Answers are yours. See, there is something that he mentions about laughing. If you want anyone to laugh, you have to provide him with a reason. Examples: you have to tell him a joke. In no way it is possible to evoke a real laugh or real happiness by asking someone to laugh without you were given a reason to telling him a joke or having him urge himself to laugh. This is not going to happen. You need to have someone to, just take a social exam, the social media examples. You will laugh only when it's really strike your heart and make you funny and so many ways. Then only you will laugh. If just someone tells you, hey, smile, you're not going to smile. That's what he says. You have to, if you want make anyone to laugh, you have to provide him a reason. So one must have a reason to be happy. So you need to find your why in your life so that the happiness will follow because of you did find out your reason and why. So it's very interesting that if you correlate those things, that's a good example actually. So end of the day, you can adapt and get used to literally to any condition. It is what Charles Darwin also said. It is not the strongest species that survive. I think I made a video on this. It's not the strongest species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to the change, and whichever the stage you are in. Have courage to accept the things you can't control. Accept the things you can't control, and then you still have an attitude on how you're going to react it, and you still have an opportunity because your attitude yourself, you have your attitude, and how you're going to react to each and every given circumstances is most important thing. The way you achieve success is to avoid thinking about it and surrender to your vision. If you focus on making success your target, you're most likely going to miss it. Dedicate your time and effort to a vision of yourself. Well, those are some of the key points which I hope that was helpful for you to. My intention of making this video is just to give you a little bit brief so that you go back to it is available in all kind of formats. You can just spend some time to read that book, and it has a actual experiences of a person who spent his time in a camps during the World War II. And this is not a book he was written. It was the piece of all the things, experiences which he went through when he had it. Later stages back in 1946. And this came out in pretty much less than 150 to 160 pages. You still can run through it. But it's really, really going to change your life. I'm not saying that it's going to give you $1 million. But all it can do is it can change the way you think. And somehow you're going to take a different action altogether when you really pay attention to certain things, and it is going to strike your heart, because that's how your belief can improve, by reading such kind of books, and also which can give you the real life story, the meaning, and however you can correlate to your present circumstances. I hope that helps you to see your life positively, to take to the next level. And if you already read this book, make sure to read it, reread it. And I think this is most important at this current situations, and keep your finding your reason why you had to keep fighting for what you're doing. Stay well, stay blessed. Be good, do good, influence the people around you positively. Thank you so much.